In this video, I'm going to take a look at how the stocks that I mentioned in my stocks to watch for October video have performed over the past month. As I mentioned in the hot stocks for October video, many people consider October to be a bad month for the stock market, where in fact it's usually the turnaround point for the market quite often. Let's take a look at the US S&P 500. So towards the middle of the month, there's been a turnaround with the market, and the market's been trending upwards, and it has seen a bit of revival as the market start rebounding from their lows of the almost the past 2 years. So the last time we had lows of in the S&P 500 of this low was around the year 2020. So how did my actual picks go? So the first picks that we had was JPMorgan Chase. So let's take a look at JPMorgan Chase. From the beginning of October till today, let's take a look at JPMorgan Chase. So they have performed pretty well during that period of time, and they are up by around 19%. Overall, JPMorgan Chase has experienced a pretty good quarterly earnings report with their net earnings up by around 7% and revenue up around 2%. So they are definitely a winner in the month of October. Now let's take a look at our second stock, which is Bank of America. For Bank of America, they follow a pretty similar trend to JPMorgan Chase. So if we look at how they have performed in the month of October, we can see that Bank of America is up by 17.8%. So also they have done pretty well in the month of October. They also had their earnings in the month of October with their earnings up by 4% and their revenue also up by 4%. The third stock on my watch list for the month of October is Netflix. So I personally believe that the demise of Netflix was definitely called way too early. Netflix is still a very big company, even though they had some pretty strong competition coming up. But it's not the first time that they had competition. So let's see how well the stock has performed over the past month. Now, over the past month, the Netflix stock has actually been up by around 23%. So Netflix obviously are releasing their ad tier of subscriptions. And a lot of analysts see this as a pretty favorable move for Netflix in terms of subscribers. Now, I wouldn't be so sure to call the ad-supported tier a success just yet. But the point is simply Netflix is a company that isn't likely to just bend over and just let everyone else, as in all the other subscription TV services, just take their customer base. So they're going to try keep on innovating. They also had their earnings report with their quarterly earnings up by around 45% and their revenue up by 1%. The third stocks that were on my watch list were a whole bunch of tech stocks, which I believe were quite oversold at this particular time. So the first one that I had was AMD. So let's see how AMD has performed over the past month. Over the past month, AMD is actually down by around 9%. So again, AMD has not performed that well in the month of October. Although AMD still haven't actually had their earnings report yet. Their earnings report was stated to be on the 1st of November, actually, a little bit later than normal. So we'll see how the stock price moves after its earnings report. And number 2 on my watch list for October was Microsoft. Microsoft was another tech giant that has been really beaten down by the tech pullback over the past couple of months. So let's see how they have performed in the month of October. So from the 3rd of October, Microsoft is actually down by around 3%. So again, Microsoft is down by a little bit. mostly, again, due to all the tech pullbacks. Microsoft also had their earnings report in October, and they have a slight surplus in earnings of 1.6% and a slight surplus in revenue of around 1%. And number one in my stocks to watch in the month of October is Google. So Google actually also had their earnings report out in October, and their stock prices dropped significantly after their quarterly earnings report. So from the 3rd of October to current day, they're actually down by around 4%. And looking at their earnings report for this particular quarter, they're actually down by 16%, and the revenue is down by 2%. So Google has had a decrease in their earnings for these last three consecutive quarters. Had a decline in their earnings for the last 3 quarters. But again, I absolutely believe that this is a great buying opportunity for Google. So at the moment, I am simply trying to dollar cost average Google stock in my portfolio. So overall, if we look at how well the stock picks have performed, JPMorgan Chase up by 19%, Bank of America up by 17%, Netflix is up by a massive 23%. Then we have AMD, which is down by around 8%. Microsoft down by around 3%. Google down around 4.6%. So for JPMorgan Chase and Bank of America, I would consider this as a pretty good score. And also with Netflix. And if I were to give myself a rating, for AMD, it will be slightly negative. But I would consider Google and also Microsoft. And I don't think they're actually, either one of them are down by that much. So I don't think they're particularly bad calls. For the next video, we're going to be looking at some potential picks for the month of November. So stay tuned for that.